he could have done. I think he should have followed Jack's plan, which was to pick somebody, then have Neil as his saviour for picking a bounty rather than having to go to the random draw.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I think you can make a case both ways. I suppose it depends how confident you are. I mean, I think we're probably saying Ronan McCarthy is the one he may be able to pick. Josh Kane, perhaps. I mean, the trouble is nobody is a very easy draw. So I suppose you're thinking you could then lose the second match and not get the chance to play the bounty match. May as well play the bounty match.
Well, that people might be at home sitting going, well, why doesn't he pick Neil, beat Neil, win the money on his head, and then pick a Josh or a Ronan, you know, instead of avoid your Tom Cousins or what? He doesn't get that choice. His choice, if he wins this match, is to pick a bounty or go to a random draw. It takes control out of his hands, and I think you'd always rather keep control. I think you're absolutely right. I think what this is, it tells us as a player that's not got too much confidence out there, a player that is thinking one match at a time and isn't thinking about winning the tournament, even though he knows he can win the tournament. He's just trying to one match at a time, it really.
It's one of those decisions as well. It's only really going to be proved right or wrong with hindsight. If he wins this one and then gets a good last draw and wins it, it'll make sense. If not, he'll be regretting it. It's also, as we've seen, like people have really struggled with that third match, and understandably so, because that's the valuable one that gets you into the hot seat, or at least away from the table. The hot seat concept will drop out once we get down to 5 players. We've seen, I think, 4 players come up short in that third match so far this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to become less and less relevant as we get down to the final 5 and we lose our hot seat, but it does keep you in the tournament, which is the key part of it.
Well, this has been a pretty good run for Neil. He's obviously got deep into the tournament. He's in the money without having to play. Kind of knew that he was going to be playing this match, which I think probably was a slight advantage. He was able to prepare for it, or at least knew there was a decent chance he'd be playing it. Another
reason not to pick him. Another reason to keep him guessing and go for the next one. No, I think Aaron had better options.
Either way, the crucial thing is that he wins the match. It's all
the options
planning in the world.
It only matters if you win. I mean, Jack Whelan had the good planning this time round, but he didn't win. That's the key fact, really.
Yeah, he didn't win because Aaron played very well. Plus, he made a silly mistake in the last frame. Yeah, Aaron playing well is a factor that Neil's going to have to contend with as well. In a way, these two players are in a similar category of perhaps slightly underrated. I mean, not underrated by anybody that really knows the game, but another very dangerous player that maybe isn't top of your list when you're talking about tournament winners. But Neil Raybone's got a enviable pool CV.
Yeah, I think it was probably more the fact that Neil's been around for 10 years or so more than Aaron is probably the reason why his CV is stronger. But I'm with you in terms of where they currently rank within Ultimate Pool, where they kind of currently stand is very similar. They've been there or thereabouts in the sort of around the edges of the top 16 since pretty much day one with Ultimate Pool. Both been close to winning. Neither player quite been able to make the breakthrough to get the win.
Well, it didn't seem like that was going to be the difficult part of that shot. It seemed the cannon was going to be the thing you needed to think about, but as is often the way, you're thinking so much about that, you take your eye off the pot. Didn't get the full cannon, he got 2 of the 3 balls out, but as a result he has left 1 yellow safe, which he'll be relieved about, although not safe anymore.
That's come out pretty well for Aaron. Not what he was planning when he played the shot, but he'll take it.
Come out with 1 good shot here. Just control the cue ball off this cut back to the bottom right, and then should be in good position. Well, I've seen both of them miss a pot that wouldn't have expected. That was obviously much more difficult than the one Neil played, but expecting Aaron to get it still.
Yeah, didn't miss anything against Jack Whelan. He's handed this frame to Neil. He's got to go and take it, of course, but he's left him on this ball at the top with an angle to come back down.
This definitely won't have felt a very personal call out for Neil. He'll have known that as soon as that bounty got put on his head, he was going to be a desirable next opponent. But still, of course, there is the element, once Aaron calls him out, he's got to follow up with the goods. He's sort of saying that he does expect to beat him.
Maybe that's part of the reason why Aaron did go that way rather than the way I think he should have gone, is that it's the call that probably was least offensive, but I think you've got to do what's right for winning the tournament, certainly at this stage in the tournament.
Yeah, it depersonalised it because you could then talk about the bounty, whereas I guess if he takes someone like Ronan, you're saying, I think I can beat you, plus I'm so confident I can beat you, I'm then going to play the bounty afterwards. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I don't think no one's going to take offence. It's the nature of the tournament format. Either way, on the table, it's Neil that gets to the 8-ball first, and it's Neil that pots the 8-ball.
I think the shot he's just played is part of that reason. I don't think he can find a break that's anywhere near consistent enough to challenge on a consistent basis. He's go through spells where the break works, but often loses the cue ball. More often into the kind of, not in that such a way, normally a little bit more straight on and then can catch it half ball and bring in the centre pockets. But it's a big reason, I think, why he can't find that consistent level.
A good break apart from the in off, so Aaron gratefully accepting. Could have made a case for either colour, both were laid out pretty well. Red's his choice.
Having made a pretty poor mistake in the previous frames, on the back of playing really well against Jack Whelan, this is exactly what Aaron would have been looking for, a really kind of nice chance on the Raybone break.
Amongst the players remaining, different people are going to be rooting for different things. The likes of Josh Kane and Ronan McCarthy are probably going to be rooting for an Aaron victory because they'd like to see this go to a random draw. If it's Neil wins, I think those two gentlemen are probably next on most people's list.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call, isn't it?
A player we haven't really talked about at all this weekend, Sean Chipperfield. He's just been quietly sitting there watching the pool.
Well, he's probably done a better job of hiding than Carl Morris and Phil Harrison have done.
They've both been found now and no longer with us. Yeah, I mean, it's just the way it goes, isn't it? I mean, Chippy is a play no one loves playing in any format, but particularly in a quick-fire format. It feels like it should be made for him.
Eight ball, not quite going to reach. Just trying to work out. We've lost. We've had two bounties handed out, haven't we? So we've got two left. Of course, it's easy to forget, but Neil Raybone's actually got he's now a hitman status with a bounty on his head. I think has he got Phil Harrison's bounty on his head? I think has he got the Omnotherapy bounty then? So there. Anyway, there's
came by Jack Whelan.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to think where it came from before that. It wasn't Jack's original one, was it? Because that got lost, and then he got another one.
Yeah, I mean.
Or did he keep his original one?
No, Jack kept his original one. Then he put. Yeah, it's confusing, isn't it? We'll get to the bottom of it, don't you worry.
Either way, the bit we do know, the two bounty players are the man that's sitting in the chair here, Neil Raybone, and Tom Cousins, who's not been troubled at all so far this weekend. Yeah,
so I can confirm it was I'm just checking my notes, it was the Phil Harrison, so the Omnotherapy bounty that got put onto John McAllister's head, and then John McAllister played Jack Whelan, which became Hitman versus Hitman, and when Jack won that, he got to make that decision to put it onto Neil's head. So Neil's currently carrying Phil Harrison's original bounty, and then the only one left in the game is the Tom Cousins bounty.
Long pot going astray for Aaron. He left that pretty tricky. Good potter, but still, length of the table. Kind of an awkward shot, that one. So Neil comes to the table. These yellows situated pretty well. A choice of 2 opening pots, 1 to each of the centre pockets. Just for good measure, gets that red out of the way. The yellow's now in a much better position. Great chance here for Neil to go 2-1 up. A nice angle here on the one along the top rail just to bring the cue ball back down the middle of the table. Decided not to overcomplicate it, just left a longer shot but more guaranteed position. This is the only shot he's played so far on this clearance that could be missed. You're not expecting him to, because he doesn't have to do too much with the cue ball. He wants to keep his head still and cue this one. And that's the trouble. Anytime you leave yourself a shot like that, there is always the potential to miss it.
It's still jarring to me to see Neil missing pots like that. It just really is. I feel like that's a huge moment in this match. We're well into the second half of it now. He should be 2-1 up and have the break to come. Aaron's going to have to play a good positional shot or play a cannon. A short position on those two together is available, and the one top left is a good access to it, but more likely to play the cannon, I think. Doesn't want to be too straight here. It's okay.
It's a complete accident that Neil knocked those 2 reds together. At the time he was just doing it because he wanted the red out of the way and was just trying to get access to the yellow. It turned out to be a bit of a potential saviour for him. At least he's left Aaron having to play a shot here. Not a guaranteed outcome.
He missed it. Missed it by... It's quite a big target to miss for a player of Aaron's level as well.
He's missed it in a really bad way as well, because he's come all the way around the back of it and left himself full ball snookered, despite it being quite a big target. And to go with the hit and hope.
And that's no good. No luck on the hit and hope. Left it routine for Neil Raybone.
Wasn't really a controlled shot he could play. He could have played trying to catch the top ball full and leave the cue ball welded to it, but it's very unlikely that that was going to come off, so I felt that was the better percentage. Bit fortunate to get this second chance, because Neil has already missed 1 good go at these yellow balls. No real surprise to see the odd nervy miss. We're now getting to the stage of the tournament where every match is pretty valuable. Not that far away from the win now, plus money jumps every match that you win.
I think he's just steadying himself rather than waiting for the clock. I think he's just over careful and cautious on this one. It's a fairly routine pot on the 8 ball here. Just on the cushion, he probably as bad as he could have been on it. This angle makes it look a little trickier, but not really a problem. But equally, it wasn't one that was worth running the clock down on.
You have to slightly query what the point of a big call would be.
Very fortunate to keep the cue ball on the table there. More than that, he's got a lovely layout. A really lovely layout as well. These reds are just really sitting lovely.
How's that cue ball stayed up? Is that 2 nudges towards the pocket and it's still rested in a position where I think you can get through to the red. See if you can get through to the one in the middle, if not the one in the corner.
Oh, that changes things. That does change things. That pot in the middle is slightly trickier, and the cue ball's not going on a good line. Still expect him to make it, of course, but I just thought he was on the one to top right, pop that in, and kind of a dot-to-dot finish. That's worked out well. Could have made things awkward, could have knocked balls safe. It hasn't.
One of those cannons you've got a plan in mind, but you're not absolutely certain how it's going to play out. That's definitely the top end of the possible outcomes. Not been the quickest match so far. 3 minutes 45 remaining on the clock. If Neil could find this frame, that might well be enough to seal the victory. Played that shot well. It's a reasonable margin for error, but just came inside that yellow. He was always on a good line.
(3-1) if he completes the job here, and under 3 minutes to play. Very strong position.
This frame is going to play very big. Just one good shot here, get nice position on the 8 ball. Played that very well. See him looking at the clock. Doesn't exactly need to waste time, but doesn't need to rush it either. A golden break would be the best way, but failing that, a quick break and clearance.
Oh, and the cue ball straight in. Oh no. That could be the end, although the layout far from ideal here. It may not be that quick end. Maybe some couple of safety shots in the frame, so maybe a tiny bit of hope for Aaron to get back to the table, but not much.
Yeah, it's actually quite an odd decision for Neil. What you want to do here, I mean, basically you want to waste some time. You don't really want to open things up. He's kind of happy with all the balls on the side cushion.
I'd be tempted to... he's going to pot a few balls. He's going to play the loss of turn here, I think. I would have been tempted to play the loss of turn direct, maybe. I don't know. Straight away, as in keep it as an open table. Leave the cue ball in that top right-hand corner. I'm not sure if that shot was actually on where he was. Oh, the plant going helps. So he can pot a few more balls to run the clock down. Again, I think the fact that he has the next break helps his decision making here.
Realistically, this is all over for Aaron unless he can pot a ball off this shot. Well, he has potted a ball.
Great shot. I think Neil, when he played the loss of turn, he wasn't playing the loss of turn. He was playing to leave the red on top of the yellow and make it not pot.
Well, this isn't out of the question. He can double the ball to the middle. Just needs to leave enough time. Oh, well, that's going to be the end of it now. I mean, it was always going to be a tough ask. In fact, he's offering the handshake.
So, my next question for you is, who do you fancy playing next? You can go to the random draw. You can choose one of our gents there in front of you. What do you want to do?
I'll play Ronan.
Ronan, down you come, mate. Straight away. The babe gets his hand on the table. Come on in, mate. We'll have a quick chat, Ronan.